John, as Peter said, there's still a lot of concern about the U.S. economy. We still have high unemployment. Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke goes before Congress next week. He's got not much inflation to worry about. We still have a lot of employment, an incredibly ebullient stock market. So how do you think things look to him?
Well, so the Fed is at an interesting point right now. And they've been at this point several times in the last few years where they've got this big bond buying program that they're thinking and talking about slowing down. It's called quantitative easing, QE. In the past, in their other QE programs, they ended them abruptly and in retrospect prematurely, and they're trying to decide when to start dialing this down. There's not a lot of pressure on them to do this right now because the inflation numbers are so low. It does look like the unemployment picture is improving, which gives them some incentive to start dialing it down. And frankly, I think there's nothing they would rather do than be in a position where the economy is strong enough, then they can get out of this business. So they've got a program for dialing it down, a plan for how they'll do it. I think right now they're in this discussion and debate about when to start, and I don't know how quickly that one gets resolved.
And all this, the stock market going up every day, we've had 20 records so far this year. Do you think that pushes them one way or another?
Well, I think it pushes the conversation away from worrying about inflation, which isn't anywhere to be seen, at least goods inflation, and pushes the conversation towards the risk of an asset price inflation, an asset price bubble. We've seen people like Jeremy Stein talking a lot about this. This is a Fed governor. And we could be hearing more talk about that, but from everyone I talked to at the Fed, this isn't something that they're concerned about yet, but they're watching it very closely. That becomes part of the conversation that they have.
How much of a factor is the housing market in all of this?
Well, I mean, right now they're happy about the housing market. It's been dead in the water for years, and there's nothing that they've wanted more than to see a recovery. Don't forget, when housing prices go up, I mean, it's not just good for the housing market, but it's good for household balance sheets. The most important piece of collateral that they have on any kind of form of debt is the value of their home. When home prices start going up, that improves their financial position and makes them more willing to spend money, which is what the Fed wants to see.
So before we go, John, quick handicapping. Who do you think is going to be Obama's choice to replace Ben Bernanke?
Well, so this is my Fed spin on all the scandals of this week. I think to the extent that Tim Geithner wants to be the Fed chairman, and he says he doesn't, but to the extent that he might want to be, I think this hurts him this week because he was wanting the Treasury when all these when the IRS scandal was going on.
So if he's down, who's up?
Yellen. Yellen is the front runner, and I think she widened her distance a little bit this week, but there's still some time before.
What about Larry Summers?
Well, so Larry Summers,
available.
He's available, and and his name is out there. To the extent that these scandals hurt Obama, then putting in someone who's close to Obama hurts his chances. I mean, I think it hurts Geithner a lot more than it hurts Summers. On a related note, while we're talking about all the other scandals, I think the other loser this week is the prospect for long-run deficit, a long-run deficit plan.
Yeah. Grand
maybe there'll be progress on immigration, but seeing these two sides come together on tax reform is hard. And we actually
the deficit's getting better.
It's getting better on its own in the short run, not in the long run. So I mean, I think that's the big loser people ought to be talking about this.